Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when you have to make a decision to stop explaining, stop proving, stop begging for validation, and start focusing on you. See, the problem isn't that you don't have potential. It's that you're distracted. You're too caught up in what people think, in the noise around you, in battles that don't even belong to you. But today I came to tell you, focus on yourself and stay silent. A seed cannot grow while it's still sitting on the surface. It must be buried deep in the soil where no one can see it. It has to endure darkness, pressure, and isolation before it can break through the ground and reach the light. And that's exactly how growth works in our lives. You cannot elevate while remaining attached to the same environments, the same conversations, the same habits, and the same mindsets that have kept you bound. Growth requires separation. Separation doesn't always feel good. It doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It often feels like loss, like loneliness, like abandonment. But what if I told you that your loneliness is actually your preparation? What if I told you that the people walking away are not a punishment, but a divine setup for your elevation? You see, when God is taking you higher, He will strip away everything that is weighing you down. And many times that means certain relationships, certain distractions, and distant and versions of yourself must be left behind. Look at an eagle. When it soars to higher altitudes, it leaves behind every other bird that isn't built to fly at that level. It doesn't slow down to convince crows or pigeons to join it. It just keeps flying higher. Some of you have been trying to take people with you who were never meant to go where you're going. You've been shrinking yourself to fit into circles that can't hold your destiny. But you can't hold on to the past and reach for the future at the same time. You have to make a choice. And separation isn't just about people, it's about mindset. It's about discipline. It's about learning to walk alone if that's what it takes to fulfill your purpose. Because not everyone will understand your growth. Not everyone will support your transformation. Some people liked you better when you were struggling, when you were unsure of yourself, when you were dependent on them. But the moment you decide to step into your power, to change, to elevate, you will notice that some people start to distance themselves. Don't take it personally. It's a sign that you're growing. Think about a caterpillar. When it enters the cocoon, it goes through a transformation that no one sees. It doesn't announce its change. It doesn't post about it. It doesn't ask for validation. It just goes through the process in silence. And when the time is right, it emerges as a butterfly, unrecognizable from what it used to be. The process required isolation, but the result was elevation. Some of you are in that cocoon season right now. You feel alone, you feel misunderstood, you feel like nothing is happening. But God is working on you in the hidden place. He is strengthening you, preparing you, molding you. You may not see it yet, but if you stay the course one day, you will look back and realize that the separation was necessary for the transformation. In a world where everyone feels the need to announce their every move, silence has become a lost art. We live in a time where people post their plans before they even begin, where they seek validation before they take the first step, where they feel the need to explain themselves to people who don't even have their best interests at heart. But let me tell you something, silence is power. Silence is strategy. Silence is how you move when you are serious about your future. Look at nature. The strongest trees don't make noise when they grow. The deepest rivers don't splash and boast. The most powerful moves in life often happen in the quiet, in the unseen, in the background. But we've been conditioned to believe that if people don't see our progress, then it's not real. We want to announce everything, our goals, our dreams, our relationships, our next big step, because we crave validation. But the problem is, when you speak too soon, you give the enemy a blueprint to attack you. You ever notice how some things don't go wrong until you start talking about them? You tell someone about opportunity and suddenly it falls through. You share your goals and negativity starts creeping in. Some people are not rooting for you, they're waiting for you to fail. And when you tell them everything, you give them ammunition. People can't attack what they don't know. They can't sabotage what they can't see. That's why you must learn to move in silence. Look at a lion. A lion doesn't roar before it catches its prey. It moves in silence, it watches, it strategizes, and then it strikes. Too many of us are roaring before we've even secured the victory. We're announcing the hunt before we've caught anything. But real power is in restraint. Real power is in discipline. Let's be honest, some of us talk too much because we are seeking approval. We want people to co-sign our dreams, to reassure us that we're on the right path. But when you're truly locked in, when you know your purpose, you don't need permission. You don't need applause. You don't need validation from people who haven't even built what you're trying to build. The loudest person in the room is often the weakest. The one who boasts the most has the least to show for it. But the one who moves in silence, they are the ones who get things done. Look at some of the most successful people in the world. They don't announce their every move, they just work. And then one day they unveil something great, something nobody even saw coming, because they understood that the enemy of progress is premature exposure. When you talk too much, you open yourself up to doubt, to criticism, to energy that you don't need. But when you work in silence, when you keep your plans close, when you stay focused, you protect your vision. Even in the Bible, some of the greatest miracles happen in private. Jesus would heal people and tell them, tell no one. Because sometimes the work that is happening in your life is not for public display. Some breakthroughs are meant to happen in the secret place. Some transformations are between you and God. And when the time is right, when you've done the work, when you've built the foundation, your results will speak louder than any words ever could. Success is not about how talented you are. It's not about how many opportunities come your way. It's not even about how many people support you. Success is about one thing: discipline. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. It is the bridge between potential and reality. And if you don't learn how to master it, distractions will rob you of everything you were meant to have. Distractions are everywhere. They come in the form of people, habits, entertainment, social media, pointless drama, even our own thoughts. We live in an age where attention is currency, where every app, every notification, every headline is fighting for a piece of our focus. And the sad reality is most people give in. They don't even realize how much time they are wasting because distractions feel harmless. Scrolling for 5 minutes turns into an hour. Watching one episode turns into an entire season. Engaging in one unnecessary conversation leads to wasted days. And before you know it, you've lost months, sometimes even years, chasing things that don't matter while neglecting the things that do. The difference between people who succeed and people who don't is not that they have more hours in the day. We all get the same 24 hours. The difference is how they use their time. While one person is scrolling, another is building. While one person is gossiping, another is grinding. While one person is making excuses, another is making progress. And every single day you are making a choice. Will you be disciplined or will you be distracted? Look at athletes. The ones who rise to the top don't get there by accident. They don't train when they feel like it. They don't only eat healthy when it's convenient. They don't only show up when they're motivated. No, they operate by discipline. They wake up early even when they're tired. They train even when no one is watching. They sacrifice comfort for greatness because they understand that you don't get results from what you do occasionally. You get results from what you do consistently. And it's not just athletes. Look at anyone who has achieved something great: business leaders, artists, musicians, inventors, entrepreneurs. The common denominator isn't luck, it's discipline. They chose to focus when others were distracted. They chose to work when others were partying. They chose to push through when others quit. Discipline is the price of greatness. But here's the hard truth: distractions don't just come from the outside. Sometimes your biggest distraction is you. Your own mind, your own excuses, your own comfort zone. Some of us aren't growing because we keep negotiating with ourselves. We say we want to be successful, but when it's time to do the work, we procrastinate. We say we want to be healthy, but when it's time to exercise, we find an excuse. We say we want to build something meaningful, but we let small things steal our focus. And then we wonder why nothing changes. Discipline means doing what you said you were going to do, even when you don't feel like it. It means showing up, putting in the work, and staying committed, no matter how hard it gets. Because the truth is, success doesn't care about your feelings. Your goals don't care if you're tired. Your dreams don't care if you had a long day. Either you want it or you don't. Either you stay focused or you don't. Either you make it happen or you make excuses. And here's the thing, distractions will always be there. There will always be something pulling at your time, trying to lure you away from your purpose. But you have to ask yourself, is this helping me or is this holding me back? Every decision you make is either pushing you closer to your goals or pulling you further away. And at the end of the day, your results will be determined by what you choose to prioritize. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in life is giving the wrong people access to you. See, not everyone deserves a front row seat to your journey. Not everyone deserves to hear your plans, know your business, or be involved in your growth. But too often, we allow people into our space who were never meant to be there. We keep entertaining relationships that drain us, friendships that distract us, and connections that add no value to our lives. And then we wonder why we feel stuck. Your energy is your most valuable resource. Your time is something you will never get back. And yet, how many of us are careless with both? We let people come into our lives without proving that they are worthy of being there. We hand out access like it's free admission, when in reality, your presence should be earned, not given away. Look at successful people, whether in business, sports, entertainment, or faith. They don't just let anybody get close to them. They guard their space. They understand that every relationship carries weight. Some people bring peace and some bring chaos. Some people push you forward and some hold you back. Some people celebrate you and some secretly compete with you. That's why you must be selective about who you allow into your life. Think about this. Who in your life is helping you grow? Who is challenging you to be better? Who is genuinely happy when you succeed? Now, on the flip side, who in your life is always negative? Who drains your energy? Who brings drama, distractions, and confusion? Because the truth is, not everyone is happy for you. Not everyone wants to see you win. Some people liked you better when you were struggling, when you were uncertain, when you were dependent on them. The moment you start growing, the moment you start changing, some people will start resenting you. And here's the reality: you don't owe anyone access to your life. You don't have to explain why you're moving differently. You don't have to apologize for outgrowing toxic relationships. You don't have to feel guilty for protecting your peace. Some people will be upset when you set boundaries, but that's not your problem. Your priority is your purpose, not their opinions. Look at a king or queen. They don't let just anybody walk into their palace. There are gates, guards, and checkpoints before someone can even get close. Why? Because they understand that their position, their power, and their peace must be protected. And yet some of us are walking around with no boundaries, letting anybody and everybody get close to us. And then we wonder why we feel drained, used, and betrayed. Some of the pain you've experienced in life came from giving the wrong people too much access. You trusted people who weren't trustworthy. You confided in people who didn't have your best interests at heart. You kept people close who were secretly envious of you. But now it's time to wake up. Not everyone who is in your life right now is meant to go with you into your future. Some connections were seasonal. Some relationships serve their purpose and need to end. And some people, no matter how much history you have with them, simply cannot handle the level you are moving into. And understand this: removing access is not about hate, it's about wisdom. It's about knowing who deserves to be close and who doesn't. It's about protecting your energy, your vision, your destiny, because every person in your life is either adding to you or subtracting from you. And if someone is constantly subtracting, taking your time, taking your peace, taking your focus, then it's time to make a decision. Some people only respect distance. You've tried to explain yourself, but they don't listen. You've tried to help them, but they don't change. You've tried to keep them around, but they keep proving that they don't deserve to be there. So now the only thing left to do is pull back. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to argue. Just remove the access and move forward, because at the end of the day, your destiny is too important to be surrounded by the wrong people. Elevation is a beautiful thing. Growth, progress, success, these are the things we all strive for. But what many people don't realize is that elevation comes with opposition. The moment you decide to rise, to better yourself, to step into the next level of your life, opposition will show up. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. See, as long as you stay the same, as long as you remain in the same place, doing what you've always done, nobody cares. Nobody is bothered when you're struggling. Nobody has anything to say when you're playing small. But the moment you start changing, the moment you start growing, the moment you start walking in your purpose, that's when the attacks come. That's when the criticism starts. That's when the jealousy, the doubt, and the negativity begin to rise. It's important to understand this so you're not caught off guard. Many people think that once they start leveling up, everyone will be happy for them. They think their friends and family will celebrate their success. But the truth is, not everyone will be happy to see you grow. Not everyone will clap when you win. Some people liked you better when you were broken, when you were insecure, when you were dependent on them. And when you start stepping into your power, it exposes their own limitations. Think about crabs in a bucket. If one crab tries to climb out, the others will pull it back down. Not because they hate that crab, because they don't have ovation. They are comfortable in the bucket. They are used to the struggle. And when they see someone trying to escape, they do everything they can to stop it. That's how people can be. Some of the opposition you will face won't come from strangers, it will come from people you know. People who are afraid of being left behind, people who see your growth as a threat to their comfort. And then there's another type of opposition, the kind that comes from within. Your own mind will try to fight against you. Your old habits will try to pull you back. Your insecurities will whisper doubts in your ear. Are you sure you can do this? What if you fail? What will people think? See, elevation isn't just about external success, it's about internal transformation. And transformation is uncomfortable. It requires you to let go of the old version of yourself. It requires you to push past fear, to break cycles, to develop a new mindset. The reason so many people stay stuck is because they let opposition scare them. The moment they face resistance, they think maybe this isn't for me. But what if I told you that opposition is actually proof that you're on the right path? The enemy doesn't attack people who aren't a threat. Haters don't talk about people who aren't doing anything significant. Struggle doesn't show up where there's no potential. So if you're facing resistance, take it as confirmation you are moving in the right direction. Look at the stories of great leaders, innovators, and visionaries. Every single one of them faced opposition. Every single one of them had people doubt them, criticize them, try to stop them. But they didn't quit. They didn't let the negativity distract them. They stayed focused. They pushed through. And because of that, they reached levels that others only dream about. And here's the key: when opposition comes, don't fight it. Expect it. Prepare for it. Know that it's part of the process. Let the criticism fuel you. Let the doubts push you to prove them wrong. Let the struggle make you stronger, because at the end of the day, elevation isn't for the weak. It's for those who are willing to endure, to persist, to keep climbing no matter who or what tries to stop them. We live in a world that celebrates noise. Everywhere we turn, there's something demanding our attention: notifications, headlines, conversations, distractions. Society tells us that if something isn't loud, if it isn't visible, if it isn't public, then it isn't important. But the truth is, God doesn't move in the noise. God moves in quiet places. Think about it. When has God ever needed an audience to do his greatest work? When has he needed applause, recognition, or approval to perform miracles? He doesn't. Some of the most powerful moments in the Bible didn't happen in front of crowds. They happened in solitude. They happened in the wilderness. They happened in quiet places where no one was watching. Look at Moses before he became the leader of Israel, before he stood before Pharaoh, before he parted the Red Sea. Where was he? He was in the wilderness tending sheep. For 40 years he was hidden, isolated, away from the eyes of the world. But in that quiet place, God was preparing him. God was molding him, strengthening him, speaking to him. And when the time was right, he called Moses out of that hidden place and into his purpose. Look at David. Before he became king, before he defeated Goliath, where was he? He was in the fields alone, tending his father's sheep. No audience, no spotlight, no validation, just him and God. But it was in those quiet places that David learned how to fight. It was in the solitude that he developed his skills. It was in the unseen, uncelebrated moments that God shaped him into the man who would one day lead a nation. And then there's Jesus, Son of God, the Savior of the sword. God, he performed miracles. He taught thousands. He healed the sick. But where did he go when he needed to hear from the Father? To the quiet places. He withdrew to the mountains. He prayed in solitude. He went into the wilderness because he understood something we often forget. God's most profound work doesn't happen in the crowd. It happens in the quiet. But here's the problem. Most of us are afraid of silence. We don't like being alone. We don't like being unseen. We think that if something isn't happening publicly, then nothing is happening at all. But that's not how God operates. Some of you are in a season right now where you feel hidden. You feel forgotten. You feel like nothing is moving, like your prayers are going unheard, like your dreams are on hold. But what if I told you that God is working on you in the quiet? See, before God elevates you, he exalts you. Before he promotes you, he prepares you. And that preparation doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the secret place. It happens when no one is watching. It happens when you're struggling in private, when you're developing discipline, when you're building character. Because if you can't handle a quiet place, you won't be ready for the platform. If you can't be faithful when no one is looking, you won't be able to sustain success when everyone is. God moves in quiet places because that's where he has your full attention. That's where he strips away the noise, the opinions, the distractions. That's where he refines you. That's where he teaches you to trust him, not the validation of others, not the applause, not the recognition, just him. And when the time is right, when you've been shaped, strengthened, and prepared, he will bring you out of the quiet place. But by then, you won't just be elevated, you'll be ready. Everything you are going through right now is part of a greater plan. The challenge is the isolation, the opposition, the discipline. It's all preparing you for what's ahead. Growth requires separation. There will be seasons where God pulls you away from the familiar, not to punish you, but to develop you. You must learn to embrace the quiet, to guard your access, to move in silence, and to stay disciplined when distractions try to pull you off course. Understand that elevation comes with opposition. The higher you go, the more resistance you will face. But don't let it shake you. Don't let the opinions, the doubt, or the negativity distract you from your purpose. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone is meant to go where God is taking you. That's why you must protect your space, set boundaries, and walk boldly in your calling without apology. Through it all, remember that God moves in quiet places. He is working behind the scenes, shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for what's next. When you feel unseen, when you feel like nothing is happening, trust that He is moving in ways you cannot yet see. Stay faithful, stay focused. Keep pushing forward, because when the time is right, everything He has prepared for you will be revealed, and no opposition will be able to stop it.